Gillespie. My name is Annie Gillespie, and I'm a volunteer for the Montana Wilderness Association and your host today. We are very excited to have you all here to listen, learn, and stretch. I'm sure that by now you all are Zoom experts, but this is a webinar format, which means we can't see you, but you can talk to us by hitting the chat button or raising your hand after the yoga and storytelling. We would love to hear from all of you. So with that, a little bit of information about our guest speaker today. She is Sadie Russell. Sadie is a chapter board member of Montana Wilderness Association, a certified yoga instructor, a master naturalist, a nurse practitioner, and most importantly, the mother of 2 children. Sadie loves the wild places of Montana and has been very active with the Montana Wilderness Association since 2016. After her storytelling, we will have some information about some of her family-friendly hikes that we have planned this summer, so stay tuned for more information about that. Sadie is going to tell us about a special Wolverine named Wild who lives in a forest near Missoula called the Great Burn. Let's join Sadie as she leads us through Wild's territory.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. This is a very fun thing to be doing on a rainy Sunday afternoon. As these days are starting to stay lighter longer and it's starting to warm up and we're actually seeing green all around us, I am getting so excited for summer hiking to be back. There's a lot of places I've been hiking this winter, especially near my home in Missoula, but there's also been a lot of places I haven't been able to visit, and one of those is the Great Burn. The Great Burn is this super special place. It's very wild because there are these huge intact blocks of wildlands. It's called the Great Burn because there was this huge fire in 1910 that burned forests across Montana, Idaho, and Washington. This area, this wild area, is very important for plants and animals that live there. And one of the animals that has been starting to get more and more attention, especially over recent years, because we're realizing we need to do more to protect it, is the Wolverine. And I got a little Wolverine here, but don't be fooled. The Wolverines out in the Great Burn are not like this cute, cuddly little guy. They are tough and ferocious. And the Wolverines in the Great Burn also aren't Hugh Jackman. He's a great guy, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today, we are talking about those tough, stocky, muscular little animals. They look kind of like little bears, but they're actually the largest family and the largest member of the weasel family. And their Latin name, Gula Gula, means glutton because they would eat so much food and they would eat so voraciously. So the Great Burn is especially important for Wolverines because of this continued wild space. Wolverines are predators that have huge territories that they cover, and they're also pretty solitary. So in order to keep up their populations and healthy populations, we need large territories that Wolverines can do their thing, but be close enough to still find each other. They're omnivores, they're mammals. On average, they weigh about 24 to 40 pounds, and they live 7 to 12 years in the wild. So today I'm going to tell you the story of a Wolverine that I imagine lives in the Great Burn, and her name is Wild. Here's a good photo of a Wolverine from a cool book that I have been checking out. So Wild is just like you and me. She is very happy it is spring. And she's a typical Wolverine, which means she's got a really strong jaw. So wherever you're at right now, whether you are standing or sitting, let's see your strong jaw. Open wide, stretch those muscles, maybe make a nice sound. Ah, nice. Okay, and Wild, she's also got these strong claws. I want everyone to hold your strong claws out in front of you. Spread those fingers wide, squeeze them in, spread them in, curl them around, and maybe make some tight fists. Nice, super strong. Let's also stretch our arms up and overhead. And Wolverines, they've also got this nice thick hide, nice fur. Tap your fur, tap your arms. Let's warm up those muscles. So like I was saying, Wolverines travel far. Females usually go about 50 to 100 miles. Males will go up to 240 miles. That's a lot of territory for a 25, 40-pound animal. Wolverines, they tell other Wolverines that this is their territory by marking their scent. Let's go ahead, all of you mark your territory in your living room, wherever you're at. Let's shift our hips back and forth, maybe swirl them around, and then we'll shift onto one foot, let a leg drift up, and mark your territory. Good job. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Foot floats up and nice. So as spring progresses, there's more and more animal opportunity and more chances for Wild to eat. Wild is tough. She can hunt for her food. Can you think of some other predator animals that might be able to hunt for their food? Maybe a grizzly bear. Roar! Make yourself nice and big. Arms going out to the side. Nice big stance for your feet. And just take a moment to reach your fingers as far as you can and make those leg muscles extra strong. Feel your feet really planting into the ground. This is gotta be what it's like to be a grizzly bear, right? Strong, taking up all this space, and maybe you wrap your arms around you and give yourself a nice grizzly bear hug. Have a growl for that added effect. And another cool animal that lives in Montana that's a predator is a wolf, right? Let's all practice our howls. Let's imagine we're howling at the moon. Ow! Cool, I could hear you guys from my house. So while Wolverines can hunt, today Wild's gonna be a scavenger. That's another cool thing that Wolverines will do. They can eat meat that might otherwise go to waste. So she's gonna be taking a moment to scavenge across the forest in the Great Burn. She's gonna wake up in the evening because Wolverines are mostly nocturnal. They definitely can be active during the day, but night is their preferred time. So let's imagine that you're waking up from your den and stretching those arms up overhead. Let your right hand grasp that left wrist and feel a nice opening along your side. And then switch hands and gently stretch to the other side. Maybe bend over, reaching for your toes. Okay. So we're gonna go walking through the forest. And because it's spring, turning into summer, the ground is gonna kind of vary a lot in what its texture is, but since we know that things are warming up, there's gonna be a lot of snow that's melting. So some areas we're walking are gonna be nice and dry and easy to walk in. So come up on your toes and imagine that you're walking on dry soil and it's very easy to be nimble and move around. And then put your feet flat on the floor and we'll take these big steps, pretending like we're walking through mud because it's so wet from all this snow runoff. And then your foot steps down and it's stuck. We've got to pull that leg up, let your knee float up in front of you, And then reach far, trying to get out of the mud. And pull that other leg up, reaching out in front of you, and step down once more. Whew, we've been walking across this sticky mud, and now we've come to a creek. But we've got to cross the creek to go looking for our meat. What are we gonna do? Never fear, Wolverines can swim. So let's imagine we're swimming across the creek. Let your arms move in front of you and maybe kick a leg behind you. And then switch to the other leg. Nice. Okay, we've made it to the other side. And this is a spot that Wild knows well. She's gonna pause for a moment so that she can use all of her senses. Take a second and listen closely. First, what are you hearing in your house? Maybe there's a fan running, a couple creaks and groans, a distant dog barking, some cars driving by. But then let's take a moment and maybe even close your eyes to imagine what the forest sounds like to Wild. There's probably a breeze gently going through the trees. That movement of trees, maybe crackling branches, birds in the distance. You can look around, see that endless stretch of trees, maybe a darkening sky. But Wild's greatest sense is her sense of smell. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and out. And maybe take a finger to one side of your nose and breathe in through one nostril and out. And then switch to the other side. Imagine you're breathing that delicious, wonderful forest air. So now that Wild has gathered all this information, she knows she can follow her intuition. She's got to go east and down into the ravine, and that's where a mule deer is waiting for her to eat. Now, this journey might be a little tricky for humans, but we're Wolverines right now. Wolverines were made for this. We're gonna come onto our hands and knees and pretend like we're scrambling down the rock face. We're gonna go ahead and lift one arm up and over a rock, the other arm up and over a rock. Oh, get your leg out of the way and let that opposite leg drift up as well. The next part gets tricky. We're gonna have to lift our left arm and right leg up at the same time. Imagine those fingertips stretching long and the heels stretching behind you so your toes are pointing down to the middle. Make sure that you've got a nice strong core, and then let that hand and ear turn down. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Right arm drifts up and then that left leg as well. Imagine a nice long string, fingertip to heel, and you've still got that nice long strong core, and then we'll float them back down again. Oh, we've made it to a ledge. Let's do a down dog to take a look and see where we're going next. With your hands planted firmly into the floor or the bench, come up onto those toes and imagine your hips lifting up to the ceiling. If you need to keep your knees bent for that nice back extension, that's fine. We'll let our head hang between our hands. Take a moment, good gaze, and find the rest of your line. We're going down that ledge. We'll maneuver down to the spot where our dinner is waiting. Now that we're here, we're gonna come into a nice squat and just take a look at the feast in front of us. Let your right leg stretch out long, and maybe you find a nice little stretch inside your own leg. You can change where you feel that stretch by letting the toes lift up and maybe reach for those toes. And then we'll bring our leg in and extend your opposite leg. Finding that same gentle pull and maybe letting those toes flipped up once more. Let's go ahead and come for standing and just shake out those legs a little bit. And then it's eating time. We'll come back into our squat position and imagine that you're a Wolverine. Food in your mouth, reach up to the side, eat some more food, reach up, and then let's really pretend that we're Wolverines. Good job. All right, so there's been more food than Wild needs. So she's actually going to be able to cache some food in a tree, and then she can eat it later, which is great because she's able to still, again, save this food that might have gone to waste, but also make sure that she'll be able to feed herself if some leaner times come in the future days and weeks. So let's look around for a good tree. And here's one. Let's come into a nice athletic stance, and then we're going to shift our weight into one foot, let that knee drift up in front of you, and then out to the side. And then we'll let our foot come down to our ankle and floor. If you do tree in a different way, go ahead and do it the way you normally do. But right now we'll let our arms come out to the side like they're strong branches, and take a moment here just to breathe. You guys look great. Here, stay where you're at. I'm gonna see if I can blow you over. Nice job. You all stayed standing. Okay, let's see, there's another tree. Let's figure out which one's better. So nice hip width stance again. Transfer your weight to the other foot. Knee floats out in front of you, out to the side. Foot comes to the ankle, and this time reach your arms up high and overhead. Okay, this is looking really good. Hold this spot. I'm gonna try again. Everyone stay standing again. Nice work. Okay, so our food is safely stored. We are full and happy. It is time to go and find a place to rest. Wolverine like to rest in shallow depressions. It's even better if they can find a spot where it's easy to survey in multiple directions. So Wild has found the perfect spot along a ridge to settle down and still be able to survey the surrounding area. Let's go ahead and sit down. We'll take a moment to relax that neck and jaw. After all that hard work and yummy food, we'll go ahead and let one ear float down towards one shoulder. Try to make sure that your shoulders are staying nice and level and they're not creeping up towards your ear. Lots of space for your neck. As you exhale, maybe that ear sinks a little closer to your shoulder, finding a nice stretch right here. Sometimes it's fun to let those fingers float out to the side. It'll change where you feel a stretch, and you can turn your palm up or down. Good. Okay, let your gaze shift down towards your hip. And then keep moving your head so your chin tucks in at the midline. Another full deep breath here. And then bring your gaze level with the horizon. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Ear floats down towards your shoulder. Take a moment to check in that you've still got plenty of space. And then if you did it before, those fingertips float to the side and palms can go up or down. And then gaze shifts towards your hip, maybe feeling that stretch move a little more into your shoulders. And then roll the chin back towards midline again. Great. We've also done all that walking on our four limbs. Let's stretch out our wrists. Take your hands out in front of you and gently pull back on those fingertips just until you start to feel a little bit of stretch. Even as we're doing this, keep paying nice attention to your breath, thinking about your lungs expanding evenly. We'll go ahead and roll that wrist out and let the fingers point down. On your next exhale, take those extra seconds to squeeze all the air out of your lungs, getting that nice full exchange and maybe giving your core muscles a little bit of work too. We'll release that first hand, maybe take a moment just to shake it out, and then move to the other side. Fingertips reaching up to the sky, gently pulling back on that hand until you're just getting to the point of stretch. Noticing if your shoulders are creeping up again and maybe keeping them nice and down your back. And noticing if you got tension creeping in any other part of your body. Keep that nice strong jaw relaxed, eyes relaxed and happy. Release that first stretch, twirling your wrist around, and then fingertips can point down, gentle pressure along the back of the hand. You might feel this in the wrist, you might feel it going up the forearm. Inhale in and exhale out. Okay, let your feet come in front of you with those knees gently bent, and we'll go ahead and lower down onto our back. Sometimes it feels nice if you lower down slowly, a little release for the back. Let's hug our knees in towards our chest. And then let one foot float up to the ceiling. Maybe you're getting a little hamstring or calf stretch with this. You can point and flex the toes if that feels good. And then knee comes into your chest and the other leg stretches long. Take a breath and imagine that breath floating to any of the tight muscles you have, and point and flex the foot once more. Hug both knees into the chest once more, and then stretch them out long. And let your arms come up overhead so you can stretch extra long there too. It's time for Wild to take a nap. So we'll go ahead and let our arms find a comfy spot, maybe alongside our body, maybe on our stomach. And let your eyes gently close for just a moment. Imagine you're just like Wild, resting in that depression of the land, feeling safe and secure, feeling happy and fed. We'll just take a couple more breaths in content silence, only the noises of the forest again around us. If you can let your mind clear of any thoughts, that's good. If there's anything that's occurring to you, okay to acknowledge it, but let those thoughts move on. Right now, we're just choosing to relax like a happy Wolverine. And then on your next breath in, we'll gently shift back up to sitting. Find a comfy spot. Take a moment to give your arms a nice pat down, feeling that nice thick fur. Same thing for your legs. And then give yourself a nice little twirl to wake yourself back up. Thank you so much for imagining yourself as Wild along with me. I hope that that was a fun little movement and some good stretches. If you're excited to get into Wild's territory, I hope that you will join me for that family-friendly hike in July. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I'll hand things back over to Annie.
Great job, Sadie. I was transported and I feel so much more relaxed. I moved around with you. I think all Zoom sessions should be incorporating a little yoga now. Anyway, this is the time where if anybody wants to raise their hand and ask about Wild the Wolverine, we're here to answer any of your questions. So I kind of want to open it up, take a chance to open it up to the floor before I go on into some of our family-friendly summer activities. Let's see what's going on. We have some chat people here. Oh, everybody's saying great job, Sadie. That's so wonderful. And I just recently learned about Wolverines. I finished this book here just a couple weeks ago, and just fascinating, these animals. I had no idea. And of course, the Great Burn is a great place to go to learn more about them. So I don't see any hands that have been raised, so I'm going to go on. And thank you again, Katie, Sadie. That was so awesome. I love that had an opportunity to do this, even though it was on Zoom. Maybe in the future we'll have more opportunities to do it in person, because that would be
I would love to do one in person. That would be great. And I'm glad to see that we're reading the same book. That was one of the MWA recommendations, right?
It's great. So Sadie will lead a hike to the Great Burn on July 11th. It's the Diamond Lake to Cliff Lake trail. Carpooling will start at the Grant Creek exit by Starbucks. The other hike that's family friendly is on July 31st. This will be an amble up the Lewis and Clark Pass Trail number 493. The pace will be for kids 5 and up, and we will take in the view at the top and learn about the white bark pine trees. Sign up for all our wilderness hikes will be on June 15th for members and June 17th for non-members. Space is limited, so think about that membership, because if you want in, especially with these family-friendly hikes, it might help you get a spot. This year, our hiking season is from July to September, and we really do offer hikes throughout the state. So be sure to check that out. Our next chapter event is a tour of Flathead Lake's biological station on August 31st. That, I would say, is appropriate for children 12 and up. Space is limited to 40. So if you've always wondered about the biostation or would like your children to learn more about that research, which is absolutely fascinating, I would recommend you signing up for that. Again, it's August 31st. So that's all I got for future events. And again, thank you. Namaste, Sadie. I don't think we have any other specific questions other than comments about your fantastic job, Sadie. Thank you again for your time.
Great. Well, thank you. Namaste. And thanks for thinking about Wolverines, the Great Burn, and yoga today.
Bye.